under fading skies. Tattered flags waving dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again.
Good evening, USMNT fans, and welcome to another edition of Stateside Footy. It's a Monday, which means it's time for USMNT Yanks Abroad. And before we get into it, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content here on Stateside Footy. Okay, man, it was another week for the USMNT pool players over in Europe to do their thing. And I got to be honest with you, wasn't exactly the greatest week. A few isolated good performances, but outside of that, man, it was kind of tough. We begin, obviously, with the striker pool, and we begin with Flo Balogun, whose Monaco lost 1-0 to Paris FC. And it's funny because Paris FC is the type of team that really was a lower league, French division team that actually recently just got investment. And because of that investment, now all of a sudden they're in League One to challenge the mighty PSG for Paris supremacy. By the way, yeah, so they lost 1-0 to Paris FC. Ballo had 45 minutes this week, managed one shot on 10 touches. 2 of those happened to be in the opposition box, 5 of 6 of accurate passing. And I guess that was good enough for a 6 rating. I guess more like 5.5, not exactly the most not exactly the most inspired performance. And yeah, my guy Ace Lionel, boom. He needed a score in the match. I know. That's exactly right. And he didn't though. So it is what it is. Turning our attention to Ricardo Pepi, who's PSV, the great PSV Eindhoven, did win 5-2 against Fortuna Sittard. Pepi played 30 minutes, and God damn it, he scored 1 goal on 1 shot. And by the way, it was a beautiful finish. I don't know if you guys saw it. That dude is absolutely fucking magical in front of goal. Jesus Christ, was that a good finish? He had 15 touches, 10 of 10 of accurate passing. In 30 minutes, only in 30 minutes work, that was good enough for an 8 rating. Listen, man, for me at least, it's the finish. That's the thing, right? Pepi is now starting to kind of work up some of those minutes, and I would probably assume that he's probably going to be a part of the November camp. And from that standpoint, having essentially your top 3 strikers in camp competing against each other, only good things are going to happen from that. But it's nice seeing Ricardo Pepi do Ricardo Pepi things. And so from that standpoint, that was an absolute fucking a chef's kiss when it comes to goal scoring. Haji Wright, whose Coventry City actually ends up getting their first loss of the campaign. Obviously, they raced out to a fantastic start in the championship. most likely will get promoted. But this last weekend on Friday, they traveled up to the racecourse ground to face Wrexham, who's kind of getting a taste of what championship football is all about. And it wasn't Haji Wright that had the game. It happened to be what's his ass from Wrexham, their striker. His name is escaping me right now. Anyways, he gets a hat trick in that game. Haji Wright played 67 minutes, managed only 2 shots. Both of them were off target, 42 touches. 4 of those happened to be in the opposition box, 20 of 30 of accurate passes. 5 of those went into the final third. And again, good enough for a 6 rating. And again, since the Australia match and where he bagged a brace against Australia, he has not had any type of goal production, whether it's a goal or assists. And listen, it is what it is, right? These things, especially with strikers, man, these things go in cycles, and it is what it is. And it so happens that, we'll see exactly how this one plays out. But that being said, in order for Coventry to get their promotion, Haji Wright is going to have to continue to do Haji Wright things, and he's not going to be able to live off the first 5 matches of the season. Eventually, that's going to have to round back into form in order for him to, I guess you could say, keep pace with some of the best of the championship. Most importantly, if he's looking to get into the Premier League, it's going to end up being on his shoulders. And right now, unfortunately, it's just not good enough. Josh Sargent's Norwich City. Before we get to Josh, hold on. Rumors say Leeds are interested in Haji. That's interesting. By the way, not to say that I don't think Haji can compete in the Premier League. I think he's got the pace and size in order to do it. That's an interesting call right there, Ace. Right, because they also had interest in Josh Sargent this offseason as well, too. That being said, I would probably think that Haji might be a better fit for Leeds. But from that standpoint, the question is Coventry going to get rid of them in January? You would probably assume that if they're still in first place or floating with the first 2 spots in the championship, there's no way they get rid of Haji Wright in January. That's probably, especially if they're chasing promotion, they're not going to get rid of them until the summer. Unless Leeds is prepared to come over the top with a crazy number, I would probably assume that Haji Wright doesn't get moved till the summer. All right, let's get to Josh Sargent. And of course, Josh's Norwich City loses again, this time 2-0 to Hull City. And it's not your grandfather's Hull City. They're actually pretty competitive this year. Josh played a full 90, managed 2 shots on net, 42 touches, 4 in the opposition box, 20 of 30 of accurate passes. 5 of those went into the final third. And of course, his defensive contribution, I guess his work rate is still good. But again, it's hard really to give Josh a good rating considering there's just no goal contribution here. And so I gave him a 6 just because I guess the work rate is commendable. It's respectable. But again, man, that Norwich City team is absolute dog shit. What's up, my guy, Nate Holloway? All right, RIFCTID, man, till I die, Rhode Island FC. All right, let's turn our attention to Patrick Agyemang, whose Derby County actually beat Sheffield United 3-1 this last weekend. He played 80 minutes, had 4 shots on net, all of them off target, 39 touches. 11 of those came in the opposition box, which makes it even a little worse. 8 of 4 of accurate passing, and outside of that, man, there is nothing really to write home about Patrick Agyemang. I gave him a 5.5 rating because it really was just an uninspired performance from Agyemang. It's cool seeing him get minutes, but that being said, they didn't bring him to Derby County just to eat minutes, man. They actually, brought him in to score goals, and I think he's got like 1. Yeah, I think he's only got 1 on the season right now since returning in late September, early October. And we finish up with Damian Downs, whose Southampton loses to Preston North End 2-0. Damian got on the pitch for 18 minutes, which is actually kind of surprised considering it's been a minute since Damian made an appearance. Did get a shot on net, and it was on target, but he only had 3 touches, and unfortunately that was good for a 5.5 rating. Man, and it just bums me out, man. I like Damian Downs. I think this kid is absolutely talented. But that being said, man, It's getting tougher and tougher every single week. All right, let's go ahead and move to our forwards because there's only 3 to talk about this week. And we begin in Serie A as Weston McKennie's Juventus beat Cremonese 2-1. McKennie actually had 85 minutes, and he actually played really well. I give McKennie his flowers. This was actually a pretty good performance. He did manage 1 shot on net, 49 touches, 4 in the opposition box, 31 of 37 of accurate passes, did create 2 chances. Let's see. And he was also 2 of 4 in aerial duels this week, good enough for a 7 rating. It's also nice because now all of a sudden we're getting a larger sample size of Weston McKennie. It seems like regardless of a coaching change, he's still getting picked week in and week out. And so for me, that's actually quite encouraging because I was wondering what the new coaching situation was going to be for West. Turns out much to do about nothing. As Ace Lionel says, yeah, he's starting off bad. Sucks for Ajamang. Yeah, but what did you expect, though? You know what I mean? Did you really expect Ajamang to hit the ground running in a league that is far and away better than Major League Soccer? At least he's got his brothers. Let's see. Brendan Aronson, his Leeds United lost 3-0 to Brighton Hove and Albion at the Amex, which is actually kind of a hard place for a lot of teams to go into the Amex and get a result. For whatever reason, Brighton's very good at home. He had a full 90, managed 41 touches, 24 of 26 of accurate passes, did create his own chance once. And it's a vast difference from last week where Brendan got his first goal and actually got the man of the match last week. This week, he was good for a 5.5 rating. Not a lot to write home about Brendan Aronson. Timmy Weah did not play this weekend. And lastly, Gio Reyna, Borussia Mönchengladbach. They did win 4-0 at St. Pauli, and of course, here's the interesting thing. Like, if you've been tracking Gio Reyna, like, he's been getting into games. Now, mind you, it's like the end of it. Again, this week only 12 minutes, but here's the weird thing, man. In his 12 minutes, he managed 19 touches, 16 of 18 of accurate passes. 2 of those went into the final third. He did manage to create his own chance at least once. 2 of 2 of accurate long balls. And he, of course, a little bit of work rate involved as well, too. 1 of 1 at ground duels, which is actually kind of interesting. I gave him a 6 rating. Wasn't that bad of a cameo appearance for Gio Reyna. You know, and this is like I guess this is like the start of for Gio, like taking advantage of even the small time, taking advantage of the opportunity and making the most of whatever minutes that you're actually going to get. And these are the type of things that are actually quite impressive because it actually shows your coach that you're willing to work. And that's a good thing. And who knows how that's going to translate, but it is what it is. Soccer Satan, I love it, by the way. Soccer Satan says predictable for Ajamang. Yeah, I would agree. I I didn't think he was going to hit the ground running in the championship. I thought it was going to be quite the challenge for him as well, too, because the difference between the championship and Major League Soccer is the fact that most championship squads actually have pretty solid defenses and players that actually work hard, which is a far cry from Major League Soccer, where there's such a gap between the attack and defenses. And of course, that's, because of the DP rule. And when you have that such imbalance between, your payout, the difference of using your money to pay for attackers versus defenders in Major League Soccer, there's such a wide gap where a guy like, Patrick Ajamang can actually feast in Major League Soccer and look good doing it. But as soon as he steps into a better league that actually has better defenses, man, it's quite noticeable. All right, let's move to these guys, our center defensive bids for the week. Tyler Adams actually had an unbelievable performance. Bournemouth beat Manchester City 3-1 this weekend. Tyler Adams played 80 minutes, had 1 goal, scored a goal this week on 1 shot. Managed 75 touches, 63 of accurate passes. 4 of those went into the final third. 3 of 4 of ground duels, and I gave him a 7.5 rating. It was actually a really good performance. And again, this is like Mr. Consistency, because if you've been tracking Tyler Adams for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, it's like he's routinely putting in solid performances. And I like the fact that he's kind of adding some goals to his game as well, too, especially from that position. So it's actually kind of cool to see. Let's see. As long as he's getting minutes, Gio, please don't fuck this up. I feel the exact same way, man. That's the exact same way I feel as well, too. But that's the thing. It's like when you see the work rate, even in 12 minutes, as far as I'm concerned, man, that's actually not a bad performance because it's like you're actually taking advantage of the time while you're on the field and you're actually trying to be productive. You're actually trying to work. And from that standpoint, that makes me happy. It's what I like to call improvement. I'll just say that. Tanner Tessman, his Olympic Lyon drew 0-0 with Stade Brest. And of course, everyone loves breasts. You knew that shit was coming too. He only managed 15 minutes this weekend, but in the 15 minutes, he had 17 touches, 10 to 14 accurate passes, 3 in the final third. And I gave him a 5.56. It is what it is. 15 minutes. But that being said, yeah, okay. And then lastly, this guy. Lastly, Aiden Morris, who's Middlesbrough, went to go play Watford. They lost 3-0. Morris did play 70 minutes, managed two shots on goal, 59 touches, 47 of 50 accurate passes, 10 to the final third, 3 of 6 ground duels, and again, I gave him a 6 as well too. I wanted to do better with Aiden Morris, but when you watched him, I wouldn't say he blended. That's not the right word. He didn't blend into the crowd, but he didn't necessarily have his quintessential Aiden Morris performance this week. Not a bad performance, not great. It is what it is. All right, so let's turn to our wingbacks this week. Serginho Dest, of course, PSV of the Eindhoven quality. Obviously, they won 5-2 against Fortuna Sittard. He played a full 90 and created 2 chances. 99 touches, by the way. 3 in the opposition box, 59 of 67 accurate passes, 11 into the final third. He was 8 of 13 ground duels, and I think he was 1 of 3 aerial duels. He actually had the most duels of anybody in that game. Really solid performance from Serginho Dest, and I gave him a 7 rating on this one. And again, he's kind of strung together very good performance over the course of the last 4 weeks, which is very, very good to see. Like, that's the one thing. It's like consistency is something that I want to see most of all these guys. It just is what it is. And so it's nice to see Serginho Dest kind of reach that consistency. All right. Talking about John Tolkien. His Holstein Kiel lost 2-1 to Pression Munster. Dude, these by the way, these Bundesliga 2 teams are killing me when it comes to names. Dude, I cannot pronounce Bavarian to save my life. Anyway, Dest is a chill guy. He's just a chill guy. John Tolkien played 86 minutes. Did manage a shot on net, created 4 chances this weekend, 75 touches, 29 of 37 of accurate passes, 7 of 14 of accurate crosses, 2 interceptions, good enough for a 7 rating. And again, this is John Tolkien. John Tolkien is also showing consistency in the second Bundesliga as well too. And it's nice to see it as well too, because that obviously is an option. Now, is this an option for Mauricio Pochettino? Obviously, we haven't seen him since the Gold Cup. And at that point, when he was in the Gold Cup squad, there wasn't a lot of minutes. So I don't know, but I sure as hell like him a lot better than Max Arfson. But it is what it is, right? So, lastly, Joe Scally. His Borussia Mönchengladbach, obviously they won 4-0 over St. Pauli. 78 minutes, managed 1 shot on net, 38 touches, 18 of 19 of accurate passes, 1 of 1 of accurate long ball, 6 clearances, 4 of 5 ground duels, and that dude was just a solid performance, good for a 7 rating as well too. And this is kind of nice considering the last couple appearances his last couple appearances haven't really been good. So it's nice to see Joe Scally kind of rebound. So yeah, not too bad. Not too bad from the wing backs this week. All right, let's move over to our center backs. And I usually would have Nokai Banks in this one, but he didn't have a good week at all, so I didn't want to touch that. He said, "Go ahead, Eagles are my favorite team." Why? Because you like saying the name "Go Ahead Eagles." Like if you're a real Eredivisie kind of guy, man, you're like, you'll pull for NEC Nijmegen. Just saying. Chris Richards, his Crystal Palace beat Brentford 2-0. He played the full 90 this week. 39 touches, 16 of 28 of accurate passes, 5 into the final third, 5 clearances, 2 of 3 ground duels, 3 of 6 aerial duels. Good enough for a 7 rating. And that to me is, again, consistency across the board, man. And I love it. I love seeing consistency from our guys. And of course, Chris Richards, that evolution, especially since the beginning of last season to now. And then you saw the FA Cup win mixed in, and you just saw that guy just get better week after week after week after week, man. And now it's like, I think it's kind of obvious he's our best center back right now in that center back pool. And the question is like, who's going to play next to him? It might be this guy, Mark McKenzie, who's Toulouse drew 2-2 with Stade Rennes. He played a full 90, managed 1 shot. 76 touches, 41 of 52 accurate passes, 13 into the final third, 2 of 4 of ground duels, 2 of 5 of aerial duels, and that was also good enough for a 7 rating. Lastly, the goalkeepers. Yes, we have goalkeepers that apply their trade in Europe. Ethan Horvath, who's Sheffield Wednesday, drew 0-0 with West Bromwich Albion. And again, if you guys are paying attention to Sheffield Wednesday, dude, they have been absolutely have gone through the shitter with their club going into administration. And they finally rid themselves of one of the worst owners in global football. And so from that standpoint, I think that's actually good news for Sheffield Wednesday. Regardless, Ethan Horvath played a full 90. Did have 7 saves on 57 touches, 17 of 43 of accurate passes, 7 of 33 accurate long balls. But he had 11 recoveries, but most importantly, he had a clean sheet. And it was good enough for an 8 rating. And by the way, this is his 5th 8 rating of the season. So listen, Sheffield Wednesday might be absolute dog shit, and they are going to get relegated, but it's not because of Ethan Horvath. He's actually had a very good year. And lastly, Jonathan Klinsmann, who's Cesena, lost 1-0 against Bari. He played a full 90, did make 2 saves, although he conceded 1. 23 touches, 10 of 15 of accurate passes, 8 recoveries, good enough for a 6 rating. So that right here is the coverage for the week. And listen, good performances, right? Goals from Ricardo Pepi, goals from Tyler Adams, and that is absolutely fantastic to see. One of the things that this week that I did notice is that, especially with the striker pool, there is some. Yeah, Leonard Maloney, by the way, did play Saturday. Did play 9 minutes. Wasn't exactly the greatest performance. Last week's performance might have been a little bit better. This week, not so much. I was looking at his I saw that match this weekend for like a good, I want to say 30 minutes. And I don't know, man. It wasn't bad. And when you look at the stat lines, I don't know, man. Wasn't exactly anything worth right home this week. Maybe next week Leonard gets into the fray. But what I will say is that when it comes to certain performances this week, we saw a lot of good consistency, especially from the, I guess you could say, from the center, from the holding midfield crew. The wing backs and the center backs. So that's from that standpoint, that's actually pretty good. What is more telling is the fact that our strikers really, yes, Pepe scored, fantastic. And by the way, that was a chef's kiss finish. But that being said, yes, Ace, I will agree with that. It's hard to watch. But what I will say is, like, especially with Haji, right, hasn't scored since the October window. Josh hasn't scored in a while, man. It's been a while for Josh. Ajamang only has 1 goal on the season. Damian Downs is struggling to even get off the mark on the season. And Balogun is just kind of like hit or miss, man. And of course, with Christian Pulisic out, with Tillman still kind of out, and even Alex and Dejas out, there's not a lot. And of course, Tim Uea was out this week. There wasn't really a lot, to even talk about really when it comes to our forwards. So from that standpoint, it is what it is, man. This week was what it was. Like, I really wish this would have been a week where we actually talk about, like 5 good performances. But it seems like it's been weeks since we've really had that. Now, that's not to say that this is going to translate anything into the November window. When it comes to the November window, I think the one thing that people are going to talk about isn't necessarily the inconsistencies of the striker pool. It's going to be the injuries and who's not going to be in camp, which seems to be like this running trend when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. The guys who aren't here versus the guys that will be there. And because there's a good potential that, Christian's not going to be there and Tillman's not going to be there, there's a good chance that, Gio might be there. Eunice is definitely not going to be there. Gio possibly could make an appearance, but this is going to be, an MLS, a little bit more MLS heavy. It is what it is. So, who would be my top performer of the week? Ooh. Tyler Adams, probably. And when you look at his consistency over the course of the last 6 weeks, there's been no drop off. And this week, 80 minutes and he adds a goal to his overall work rate. So yeah, for me, Tyler Adams probably would have to be the player of the week. Don't get me wrong, man. Ricardo scoring in only 30 minutes. That's also up there. I might give McKinney a shout. I'd probably give Serginho Dest a shout as well too. But yeah, I probably have to say that Tyler Adams for me is probably my top performer. What about you? Let me know. Speaking of that, why don't you guys let me know who you feel is the top performer this week? Leave that in the comments. Also, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also make sure that you hit the notification bell as well too, so you don't miss out on any content here on Stateside Footy. Just a quick little reminder for you guys. Yeah, I would agree, man. Yeah, he's just a dog in midfield. And the way that, that's the thing. It's like the way that Bournemouth plays, man. And Dori Iriola just knows exactly how to use him in his midfield. And it's like a little chess piece that he can move. Like, if you need him to play a little higher up, you can. But he always has he always has the wherewithal to track back. And it's never going to be an issue that he's ever going to be out of place. Here's the weird thing about it. It's weird. Like, unless you actually have somebody playing next to him in a double pivot with the United States, that also allows him just to kind of do what Tyler does best, which is put out fires, without necessarily having to worry about his back being covered. You sometimes see him out of position with the U.S., right? And it's just because there was never anybody next to him that, I guess you could say was on the same page with him. And it was, I think that kind of changed in the Japan game, but that's just me. All right, that's going to do it for me. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank those that stopped by the chat today. And of course, Ace Lionel. Ace is always, Ace is the ace, man. Nate Holloway, and of course, Soccer Satan, who is probably the best name on YouTube. And to those that have tuned in today as well, too. Thanks. And we will see you a little bit later this week.
under fading skies.